Thank you so much. That was the South Haven High School Chamber Orchestra. We're going to take a few minutes to rearrange the furniture. This is a good time to remind you that the South Haven High School Orchestra has more cellos than the Boston Symphony. Tonight's invocation is by Pastor Travis Wilson of Peace Lutheran Church.
Thank you all. Let us pray. God of wisdom and community, we gather at the start of this meeting aware that leadership is both a responsibility and a trust. We give thanks for those who have stepped forward to serve, for Mayor Annie Brown, for council members Jeff Arnold, Tom Capps, Mary Hosley, Dave Flack, Letitia Wilkins, and Eddie Polk, for City Manager Kate Hosier, for City Clerk Megan Kiker, and for every single staff member who works to support this city and our county each day. Be present in the conversations that unfold tonight, in decisions about resources and safety and housing and the future of this community. Grant insight that sees beyond the moment and compassion that keeps people at the center. When perspectives differ, bring understanding. When the path forward is unclear, bring wisdom. When the work feels heavy, bring endurance. Remind all gathered here that this work matters because people matter. And may all that is said and done in this evening spread the good news of this whole community. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Could we have a roll call, please?
Of course. Jeff Arnold.
Here.
Tom Capps.
Here.
Dave Flack.
Here.
Mary Hosley.
Here.
Eddie Polk.
Here.
Letitia Wilkins. Annie Brown.
Here. Thank you. Is there a motion to excuse Member Wilkins?
I move to excuse Councilwoman Wilkins.
Support.
All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? She is excused. Are there any conflicts of interest tonight? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda. Support.
Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? The agenda is approved. It is now time for community updates. Jim, would you like to come in and have a seat? We can. There's room in the second row. Tonight we have Lori Ankoviak with Safe Harbor Children's Advocacy Center. Good evening. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. Hopefully some of you know that April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and so I wanted to come and give you an update about what Safe Harbor Children's Advocacy Center has been doing in Van Buren County. About 3 years ago, I came and talked to you about the fact that we were hoping to move into Van Buren County. Well, that indeed happened in February of 2023, and want to share with you all the services that we bring to Van Buren County, because at that time, we thought we were only going to bring our Children's Advocacy Center program. Well, we brought all of our programs. So I want to share with you that over 121 children just this last year came to the Children's Advocacy Center program when there were allegations of either sexual or severe physical abuse. So how that works is there's an allegation that gets given to either law enforcement or Child Protective Services, and then they give us a call, and we bring the whole team together and provide a very child-friendly, youth-friendly, neutral environment where all the investigative parties come together. They can observe the interview as it takes place with our staff who are specifically trained to talk to those children, and the prosecutor's office also gets to observe that interview. Our goal is that the child only has to be interviewed one time, because unfortunately in communities that do not have a children's advocacy center, those kids are often interviewed anywhere from 3 to 5 times about the allegations of sexual abuse. That is not how we should treat our children. So our Children's Advocacy Center has provided each year between 100 and 121 children that voice here in Van Buren County. And then after the interview, we offer trauma-focused therapy, we offer victim advocacy both for the non-offending caregivers and for the children, and then we offer medical exams. Everything that we do for these kids is absolutely free. One of the other programs that we ended up bringing to Van Buren County was our Court-Appointed Special Advocates, or our CASA program. And that's where we train volunteers to speak up on behalf of kids that have been removed from their homes due to any sort of abuse. So we are able to train the volunteers. They have the opportunity to meet with these kids on a weekly basis, get to know them, and advocate for their best interests at every court hearing. So the judge gets a report specifically about the children. While there are other organizations that work with the kids, such as Child Protective Services, they also have to help the parents and have to make sure that those parents get the services. We only have to focus on the kids, and so therefore the kids have that voice by us meeting with them on a weekly basis. Our volunteers are that one consistent adult during the pendency of that case, with the hope that we can help those kids find permanency in a much shorter period and help them find a better childhood and a better placement, whether that's back home with parents who have been able to do their services or moving into a foster care home or adoptive home. The other program that we bring is our prevention services. So we are in South Haven schools teaching kids about body safety. That looks like helping kids understand what a safe and unsafe touch is, helping them identify a safe adult in their life, and then helping adults understand how to respond when the children come forward. Because unfortunately, as adults, sometimes we get a little scared when kids give us really scary information, and if we don't know how to react, that's even worse for the kids because they found their voice, they spoke up. The adults need to learn how to respond to those kids and report abuse. So we do all of those services. Again, our services are also free to the schools in South Haven, and we are in the Head Start and the elementary schools. In order to do that, we are a nonprofit organization, so I also wanted to invite you to an upcoming fundraiser that we have specifically for Van Buren County, and that's on June 11th. We have a family fun night at the Backyard in Kalamazoo, just on the border of into Kalamazoo, but it is to help provide services for all of Van Buren County. So all those services I just described, while we do receive some funding on the federal and state level, that funding continues to dwindle, and that means that it's harder for us to provide these services for kids. We struggle especially with trying to make sure that we provide therapy, because the work that we do requires all of our staff to be highly trained and to get trained in modalities that not every therapist is trained in. So the work we do can be very expensive on our side. We don't pass that off, of course, to families, and so we ask that the community help to support the work that we do. I appreciate your support and the fact that you have supported the work that we do, that we came into Van Buren County, and we want to continue to do this for many years to come, to provide a place where children know that they can come to, that they can speak up about abuse, and that they can get the hope and healing that they so deserve. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your support.
Does anyone have questions?
How much of a budget does it take to do what you all are doing? It's great work, by the way.
Thank you.
I didn't know about this, and it's fantastic, so thank you for presenting. But how big of a budget does it take to continue?
Sure. For Van Buren County alone, it's $158,000 this year. That does not really cover the cost of the administration, which is all done on the Allegan County side. So Safe Harbor as a whole, our overall organization covers that piece, but it's $158,000 just for the services that we provide.
Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
Mary?
What % do you rely on for donations of that budget, in that budget?
Right now, about 40% of our budget relies on donations.
If people want to be a CASA volunteer, who should they contact?
They can contact Lauren Miller or myself, Lori Yankoviak, at Safe Harbor. You can go on our website, safeharborcac.org, and you will find all the information about CASA and all the programs that we provide. We desperately need CASA volunteers to speak up on behalf of kids.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have Natalie Baggio. She's the president of Corewell Health Southwest.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. I am Natalie Baggio. I serve as the president of Corewell Health in Southwest Michigan. Our mission is to improve health, instill humanity, and inspire hope. And tonight, I'm hoping that you will feel inspired from our strategic plan and how we can expand care and services here in South Haven. Part of our strategic initiatives has been focused in 4 pillars: ambulatory growth, service line growth, community impact, and foundational investments. And tonight, specifically, I'd like to share more about our ambulatory growth strategy. So here at Corewell Health in Southwest Michigan, we serve the Tri-County area. Our current hospital that's closest to this area is in Watervliet. We've had hospice services here for many years, but we are looking to expand our access to care across the Tri-County area. There's been several years where we've not had bricks and mortar or access to care, and we recognize that we're only about able to serve 50% of our community for primary care services. And part of our strategy is to reevaluate how do we continue to bring and provide more care locally so patients and communities do not have to travel for that care. One of our milestones over last year was to increase our access to service lines, and we're proud that we were able to open our Watervliet cardiology clinic that's closest to all of you here in South Haven, and that was one of our first specialties ever to open in the Watervliet market. This year, if you could advance the next couple of slides. Next slide. Here's what we would like to, or we're planning to open our first primary care clinic and urgent care here in South Haven. We've identified a piece of parcel, and we've been able to secure that to where we would be able to build a 15,000 square foot building with 2 separate entrances. One would be focused on an urgent care, and the other part of the building would be focused on primary care and specialty care. Yeah, if you don't mind. So this is something that we've discussed with the township, and we have support to move forward. We plan to break ground this summer, and we'd be able to open our services in early 2027. So I thank you for the opportunity to share that. I would love to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
First of all, we as a community would like to thank you guys for taking the initiative to increase medical attention here in South Haven. This council has made it one of its priorities. We talked about it when we had a private session. Well, maybe not really private, but an agenda that we went through. And everybody on the board voted at least one time that was one of the priorities that we should pursue. We've lacked it for a long time. So I just want to thank from the whole council, thank you for doing this. It's been on a lot of people's mind and agendas that South Haven has lacked health care, and this is a good start for it. So I want to thank you very much for you guys pushing forward with the township, and just know that the city wants to help us all you can.
Well, thank
all we
you.
can.
Yes, we feel very privileged to be able to come into the community and provide further access to care. You know, living in a rural area can be very challenging at times to be able to invest and recruit and retain. And part of our foundational investments is continuing to grow our pipelines, because in parallel of building bricks and mortar, it's important that we grow community members into healthcare professions. And as we recruit people here locally, we have to be able to create a great, thriving economic experience for them and for our communities. So we're happy to be part of it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Natalie, thank you. I was going to echo what Tom said, and it's overdue here. We all feel that, and you can feel everybody in town's excitement from the announcement and what you all are doing. So thank you all for doing it. We're all really excited about this.
Thank you, and I appreciate this opportunity, and we have a full strategic plan and initiatives, and if time would allow or of interest, I would be more than happy to come back, keep updates in front of the council of what we're doing and how things are going and where we see it to continue to grow.
Any other questions?
Just thank you. I think everybody has the same opinion that we're very pleased to see something happening.
Well, thank you for the warm support and welcome, so thank you.
I have some questions. What will you be able to offer at the Corewell Health South Haven as far as mental health goes?
So we will have access through our primary care or through our urgent care. I mean, that is in scope for any mild to moderate sort of responses. And then our plan is for anything that we're not able to provide here directly, we'll have those warm handoffs to where we can navigate patients to the right level of care and the right specialty.
Thank you so much. Another question is, a long time ago when it was South Haven Hospital, they had board meetings in South Haven that were open to the public so people could learn what was going on, and the public could also give input. Do you see that you'll be having some kind of public meetings like that in South Haven?
We've entertained having town halls with the public, especially once we're closer to that opening date. We do not anticipate having any open board meetings at this time, but I'm also happy to support any sort of conversation at the civic level and be able to share strategic initiatives, progress, and any updates.
Okay, thank you. And how many new doctors will be coming to Corewell South Haven?
Right now, we are recruiting over 40 physicians across Southwest Michigan.
Okay.
We anticipate that we would have around 12 to 14 FTEs of physicians and APPs that would be here full-time, but also be able to flex in and out as the community demand grows.
Okay, great. This is such great news. So we're just thrilled. So thank you so much. And I want to thank our city manager because she has been outspoken about this too. And a year ago, she met with administrators from Corewell. So she's really been working on it too. So we're grateful for Kate's work too.
Yes,
So thank you so much.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we have Lieutenant Evan Hauger from Southwest Drug Enforcement Team West. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
Good evening, council
Good evening.
members, Mayor Brown. Let me know if I speak too softly, okay? My name is Evan Hauger. I'm the detective lieutenant assigned to the Michigan State Police Southwest Enforcement Team, and I supervise the West office. The Southwest Enforcement Team, our acronym is SWEAT, not the prettiest name, but it flows. We are a multi-jurisdictional drug task force. We are led by the Michigan State Police, but most of our detectives and team members are not from the Michigan State Police. We are benefited and blessed to have 2 South Haven detectives, a covert detective, 4 Berrien County detectives, 1 state police sergeant, and 1 state police trooper, and a detective lieutenant from Berrien County as well. We also have a DEA officer, DEA agent, special agent, assigned to our office that works there full-time, and he has now taken one of our local team members and deputized him as a task force officer with full federal authority. What our job really entails is we try to support the needs of the local community while simultaneously addressing the larger regional threat as it relates to drugs and narcotics trafficking and firearms violations. SWET has 4 offices. We have the north, south, east, and west, which is pretty easy for a guy like me to remember. Our west office covers Van Buren, Berrien, and Cass counties. So my office with those detectives I named off, those are our primary focus. But we have 3 other offices. The south office covers Branch and St. Joseph County. Our east office, Kalamazoo and Calhoun, and our north office, Berrien and Allegan County. What that does for us is, even though we have 4 different offices and 4 different teams, we're really just one team, and we are a force multiplier. I say that because it's important to understand that with the drug trade, that's probably too nice of a word for it, but illegal narcotics trafficking, drugs don't necessarily originate in any one place. So the drugs that are found in the South Haven Township community, they're not being originally manufactured here. They're being trafficked in and trafficked out through here. So by having these partners and these other teams to work with, when we have this information of John Smith at 123 Main Street is selling drugs, and we do an investigation, and we learn that his supplier might be in a nearby town. It might be in Holland, it might be in Allegan, Benton Harbor, Kalamazoo. We're then able to rely on our other teams and our team members to coordinate with us in a fashion that allows us to keep working up the chain to get to the original source of the drugs, at least here in Michigan. What you get as a benefit of having 2 detectives on the Southwest Enforcement Team is, well, it's many things. We take our detectives, they all have different levels of experience when they get here, but after they're done, they become very evolved, highly adapted, and proficient police officers. Most of the older regime, if I can say that, of South Haven Police Department has had their tenure on SWET, Chief DeBoer, Mr. Poole. Most of the people that have been around any length of time have been on SWET. I think they would all agree and tell you that they enjoyed their time there. They learned a lot of skills that they were able to take back to the department when they rotated off to be able to better investigate complex crimes. We're not just a drug team, we are, but also if Chief DeBoer calls and says, hey, we have some breaking and entering suspects that are only operating late at night, they're really hard because they see our cars and they take off. We have special skills for surveillance and with technology where we can now assist South Haven Police Department to use alternative means of investigation. Because we're led by the Michigan State Police, we have access to a lot of technology with drones and helicopters, and we have DEA on our team, so I can't even talk about some of the things that they can offer us. But we try to focus again on the needs of the local community, addressing the larger regional threat, becoming a force multiplier for you. I'm here to speak in support of the millage. I was here 5 years ago with my predecessor, who was a South Haven Township resident, Tim Blanksford. He's since retired, and I'm fortunate enough to have his job. We absolutely love having South Haven detectives on our team. We always prioritize cases that originate in the areas where we get our bodies from. So we've had some great cases in the last couple of years in South Haven, the biggest of which is still going through the court process. However, we had a tip that started in Detroit with the DEA reaching out to us about a manufacturing of meth pills originating in South Haven. They identified a likely source and said this person is manufacturing meth pills and selling them, and we're getting worried about it way over in Detroit. We put a great case together. We did 2 simultaneous raids along with our state police SWAT team. We were able to get a pill press that the person was basically taking crystal methamphetamine, adding pill binder, and just cranking out pill after pill after pill. We seized over 700 of those pills. He was also trafficking in fentanyl, had firearms. I won't give his name since it's still going through the court process and he has a presumption of innocence, but that is probably one of the best cases we've had in South Haven in quite some time to actually get someone making these meth pills. That was put together by one of the detectives from South Haven Police Department with the assistance, of course, of the other detectives as well. I would love to answer some questions.
Yes, thank you for everything you do. How long is the standard time that one of our officers is with SWAT?
That's a great question. We don't choose as the state police. We are blessed to have them as long as the chief gives them to us. Thank you. I was just stalling so you could get here.
We've varied from time to time. Towards Well, the last couple that went in were in for 5 years. We were getting a little long in the tooth, as Evan had said. Some of our officers were older and everyone kind of had a turn, so we were stretching it out. Officer Lee, who is now Detective Lee, went in on a 3-year term. We're younger. Like Evan said, the training experience that comes with it, it just brings us back a more well-rounded officer. So to get our younger guys through there, get them experience, we shortened the term to 3 years.
And then the case that you were talking about that's in court, is that the one that was on Hubbard? Was, I think, one of the locations?
No, that was a different one.
Okay. Well, for that one, I heard from people who live on there that they were very impressed with how quiet you went in. So that was, I think they appreciated that. So giving you kudos. With everything that you do with the drug trafficking, how often do you overlap with human trafficking?
We actually do proactive quarterly initiatives, and once or twice a year we'll do a proactive quarterly initiative involving human trafficking. Most crime, in my opinion, but also based on my training experience, involves drugs at some level. A lot of times with human trafficking, there's a drug component where victims of human trafficking are fed drugs or supplied with drugs to keep them in that trade. So drugs seem to be the root of many evils in this area, whether it's break and enterings. We've had drug homicides in this area. So we do quarterly initiatives and proactive initiatives involving human trafficking. We had a couple different ones last year, one involving a massage parlor in Berrien County, and we do run across this quite a lot.
Thank you.
Any other questions? What kind of drug is the biggest problem in our area? Is it meth? Is it cocaine? Is it fentanyl?
So I would say the biggest in this area are both fentanyl and crystal methamphetamine.
Okay.
They're very different drugs, typically different clientele, but often being trafficked by the same person because they like to have diverse portfolios to make more profit. Methamphetamine, we don't see as many fatal overdose deaths with methamphetamine. However, it is a rampant driver of other crimes. And with fentanyl, we all know how deadly fentanyl is. We do respond to all overdose deaths in our area of responsibility, at least when contacted, and South Haven is very diligent about contacting us with those. That's another great resource that we provide with overdose death investigations. Are very, very difficult to prosecute. Mm-hmm. They're very difficult to solve. I'm proud to say that the Southwest Enforcement Team in West Office specifically has a rate of solvability twice as high as any other drug team in the state. And it's not a high number at 15%, but it's twice as high as the next closest drug team. They are very difficult to solve. We bring some unique resources to that because our officers also work undercover. So they are purchasing drugs themselves, and that is a very important aspect of those investigations, because if we have a suspect and they sell us drugs, that gives us a lot more ammunition when it's time to put it all together.
And is there a pattern of where the drugs are coming from?
Yes, I would say in South Haven specifically, I would say 30% of the drugs come from Kalamazoo, probably 40% come from Benton Harbor, and the other 30% just come from different areas, sometimes directly from Chicago or directly from Detroit, sometimes from Muskegon or Grand Rapids.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just a quick one. So most of your leads come from your undercover agents then? Is that how it works?
No, actually, most of our leads come from Road Patrol at South Haven and Colvert and Bangor and Berrien County and the troopers. We stay in business because of the great work that Road Patrol does. They will flip us tips that they get from the community, from sometimes it's scoring lovers. You just never know where they're going to come from. But we get tips, we follow up with them, and that's how we stay in business. We do make it a priority to the quarterly initiatives to be proactive. And a lot of times that's just, hey, Chief DeBoer, do you have any problem areas in your community where you're getting a lot of complaints from neighbors of in and out short stay activity at a certain house? That's when we'll go set up. We'll do our surveillance techniques. We'll blend right in, and we'll coordinate with South Haven PD to get cars stopped leaving those venues and then find what we find.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
I'll just simply add that this is a relationship that's been going on, we were just talking, for probably over 30 years. we've had detectives in Sweat. So it's a great partnership. We absolutely love it. We love when our guys come back and they have that knowledge base. We use them all the time, not on drug cases, not on any cases. We had a big search warrant 2 weeks ago, and our Sweat detectives were there. They were doing surveillance on the house before we went in, which caused us to get our suspect in a traffic stop. They helped us write the search warrant. Just the knowledge that our guys come back with after being in Sweat sets them up for the next however many years of their career. Every sergeant I have has been on Sweat. I've been on Sweat. There's just a lot of leadership that comes with being on a small team like that. So we're happy for it. The millage is coming up, and we really want to get it out there for people.
And thank you for your leadership, both of you. Thank you. It is now time for public comment. You have up to 3 minutes. Allison?
Good evening. My name is Allison Coatsier, and along with my business partner, Holly Purdy, we are the owners of the Victoria Resort. We purchased the property just over a year ago. We are at 241 Oak Street. And from the beginning, we have viewed ourselves as stewards of something truly special. It's a very unique and beautiful property. We are currently seeking to get the property rezoned. The Victoria Resort has been part of the South Haven community since the 1920s. It is the last true resort in the city, and it represents a piece of the community's identity that can't be replaced once it's gone. It's been a fixture in South Haven for longer than any of us have been alive. So right now, the property is currently zoned non-conforming use as the R1B single-family district, which limits our ability to make necessary updates like adding indoor gathering space or amenities that today's guests expect. This is what we would like to accomplish with our rezoning. Without these improvements, it becomes increasingly difficult to stay competitive in the very competitive lodging market in South Haven. Current zoning does not allow us to alter any of our current buildings or our current footprint. We recently went before the Planning Commission, and the majority of the commission voted to approve rezoning the property to RM1 multifamily residential. We understand that one of the biggest concerns surrounding the rezoning is the fear of what could happen in the future, specifically what a future owner will do with the property. We want to address that directly. If this rezoning is approved, we will be applying for a special land use as a resort. That designation places limits on how the property can be used. Also, any rezoning or special land use will require reprints and approvals and be bound by zoning requirements. So it's not a free license to do whatever we choose. In other words, the process does create this additional layer of oversight and helps preserve the very use that people are hoping to protect, a resort. The current zoning doesn't allow the resort to evolve, and that creates risk. And when a property like this can evolve, it stays frozen in time, and it declines. Our goal is to prevent that. We're not looking to change what the property is. We're trying to ensure it continue being what it's always been, a place where families can relax, connect, and make memories.
You have about 1 minute left.
It's not uncommon for zoning laws to evolve with the times. Look how single-family zoning has changed as houses have gotten larger and now more lot coverage than previously allowed. Our goals of the rezoning are to maintain the current use and historic character of the resort, add indoor amenities without increasing occupancy, improve the guest experience without impacting the surrounding homes. So we've made a general effort to connect with the neighbors. If anyone would like to come out and talk with us, we'd be happy to do so. This decision ultimately comes down to how we preserve the future. With your support, the Victoria Resort can continue to thrive as a resort. Without it, the limitations of the current zoning make the future far less certain. Anything that we, as future owners, might want to do on the property, or us ourselves, would need to be approved. There are safeguards in place. We can improve our resort, and the community stays protected. We respectfully ask for your support in approving this rezoning so we can continue preserving and improving this historic South Haven property.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Nancy McGlory, 125 Altenberger. Just forgot where I lived. I'm here tonight because I am one of the passionate lifeguard people that have been up before the council, this council, the past council many times. And today, we are being introduced to our new chief lifeguard. And my heart is just racing right now because I cannot really believe this day is happening. And when I met Lisa on the beach many years ago, it seems like now, we formed a very deep friendship, and I've learned so much about her and her daughter and her family. And I made a promise to her that I would do everything that I could to make sure that South Haven would get lifeguards back on their beaches. And now that I just met David, and he seems like a very nice person, and I read his background, and even though he didn't go to Michigan State, I'm
Sorry.
sure he'll do a great job. And his background's amazing. He worked at a huge Evanston, Illinois beachfront, and I think our community is going to be the template for lifeguarding in the state of Michigan, and that it will bring more of that to other lakefront communities. And I know that every person who's lost their life in our lake is looking down on us today and saying, good job. Thank you for getting this done. And let's hope that everything runs smoothly. We can get this started. We can allow it to move to the other beaches, that North Beach for next year. And I also want to say,
You have about 1 minute left.
okay, if there's anything they need, and I am a person who does open water swimming in Puget Sound, so I know oftentimes you need wetsuits in this cold water, including headgear, gloves, booties, everything. So if they're in need of wetsuits, anything to help with the training of our new guards, I am more than happy to donate, and I know the people that are supporting this feel the same way. So please reach out to us and allow us to be, the community to be a part of this. So thank you very much to this council, to the past council, to city staff, to Chief DeBoer, and just everyone for making this happen. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Lisa McDonald from Chesterfield, Michigan. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. We can't change what happened on August 8th, 2022, but we can change what happens moving forward. Establishing this new lifeguard program in South Haven for the upcoming Memorial Day is an amazing step in the right direction. Knowing that the future Emilys and Corys that come to your beach to enjoy the beach will be safe and they can come back for many years is such a positive thing that has come out of something so tragic and negative as Cory and Emily and all the others that have drowned. I have spoken with Chief DeBoer and briefly with David just now. And last year we had offered to help if you guys got the lifeguards going. That didn't happen, but we are still here and we still want to help. I will be keeping in touch with them to see if there's some way that my group can donate something or get involved, because we truly do want to be part of this amazing program. I have many kind and generous supporters, and many of them are here this evening, and I really appreciate you coming out. But we really do want to help. And I'm just going to end by saying thank you, South Haven City Council members, the mayor, for making this happen. Thank you for valuing the lives of everyone that enjoys your beach. Thank you for making lifeguards a priority. Thank you for making this happen. I will be forever grateful that you have seen this journey this way, and I look forward to coming to visit your beach in the future as a beach goer and not as the grieving mom that has come to South Haven for the past 3 years. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tim Slace. I'm from Saugatuck Township in Allegan County. I come out to introduce myself as a candidate for the 57th District Court in Allegan County. For those that you are not aware, we have 2 district court judges in Allegan County. They're both going to be on the ballot this year. For the longest time, it was Judge Belargin and Judge Scotchless. Judge Belargin stepped down in May of 2025, and the governor appointed Chris Burnett into that seat, so he'll have to defend that in November. Judge Scotchless is age limited out at 70 years old. He cannot run again, so I'm running for that open seat. This past Friday, I drove my petitions up to Lansing to drop them off, so I will be on the ballot. A little bit about me. I've been in law enforcement for the last 30 years. My wife and I came over here from Lansing area initially to South Haven. We had an apartment on North Beach for about 2 years when we built our house. But I worked as a trooper at the South Haven Post for just under 10 years. Absolutely loved that job. Got to serve the people of the state of Michigan. The west side of Van Buren, west side of Allegan was my post area. I worked there for just under 8.5 years on the road. And at the time when Benton Harbor had their civil unrest in 2003, I was working out of class as a post sergeant. Unfortunately, the Lord had a different plan for me, so I was shot in line of duty in Benton Harbor in 2003 and then retired in 2005 due to those injuries. I persevered through that, went back to law school on my own dime. Upon getting my license to practice law, I went back to Berrien County for about 4.5 years as an assistant prosecutor. There, doing felony and misdemeanor trials, fighting for victims' rights. I was also the chairman of the gun board in Berrien County, which at that time was in charge of overseeing the issuance of concealed pistol licenses. I am a proponent of the Second Amendment. In 2015, I changed again. I quit the office and opened my own office in Holland, primarily as a criminal defense attorney. So I serve Ottawa and Allegan County for the most part.
You have about 1 minute left.
In the area of criminal defense. So having been a police officer, prosecutor, and defense attorney, I think it lends well to the bench, as courts are problem-solving entities, and police officers by nature have to solve problems at the drop of a hat. I think it's important to have good judges who will treat people fairly and hold people accountable. But I am also in favor of our specialty courts. We have 3 specialty courts that treat people who are that come before the court with special circumstances. We have the Veterans Court, Sobriety Court, and the Mental Health Treatment Court. So I'm very much in favor of redemption and giving people a second chance. There will not be a primary this year because only 2 people are going out for each seat, but I encourage each of you to watch for the ballot in November. I recognize that South Haven is not a lot in Allegan County, but I think more than quantity, it's the quality of representation. Have some informational cards for anyone that would like it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa Beck, 879 Monroe Boulevard. I certainly will not be as eloquent as Nancy just was, but I want to welcome you. I didn't get a chance to meet, but I've seen your resume, and I can't tell you how excited we are that you're here. So welcome. And I think if you need anything, like where to eat, all that kind of stuff, we've got a whole crew ready to help you out. I also want to give kudos to Lisa McDonald and Nancy and the people that fought so hard for this. It's a great job they did. And I want to thank the council, both current and past. Thank you for voting yes for this. I think it's a big step. And I think there's a lot of opportunity. You know, I've been up here before and mentioned, you know, maybe we can have the whole training program for the whole, Southwest Michigan at some point. I think it would be a great opportunity for jobs and things like that. So I just wanted to say welcome and thank you so much. And if you'd like a good way to get to know the community, come to the community yard sale, May 15th and 16th. 50-some houses. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, one more thank you, as you can probably tell. We're all excited. David, we met at the school a few weeks ago at the job fair. I hope it went well. I hope you got a couple of candidates.
We
from the
need
high
your
school
name
job
and
fair.
address,
I'm
please.
sorry, sir. You didn't remember? Serge Bocassini, 125 Elkenberg Street. So really thrilled about the new lifeguard program. Really thrilled to have both Nancy and Lisa and everyone from the street supporting the lifeguard program, and happy that it's going into place. And welcome, David. Really thrilled about it. So anything we can do for you and some of the other people that were up tonight. I love coming to the meetings. I love learning about what the city is doing, and would love to continue to contribute to those causes. There she is. Very good. I'm thrilled about her program, and I want to see what we can do to help them as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Susan Peterson. I'm 270 Park Avenue, and I'm against the rezoning to RMI of the Victoria Resort, or RM1. I love the resort. It's a beautiful place and property, but if the owner does sell, and there are no guarantees that they won't, then anything goes. To have an RM1 in the middle of a north side neighborhood would be a significant negative impact to the immediate neighborhood. City Council should do their own independent findings as to the requirements for the change in zoning. There are 5 conditions that must be met. The Planning Commission kind of passed the buck. I was at that meeting and spoke there against it as well. One of those considerations is it must be consistent with recent trends in the neighborhood, and it is single-family homes is the recent trend. It also must protect the health, safety, and welfare of the city, and this would not. There are no guarantees, and if the property sells, the increase in density, the increased traffic to a dead-end, beat-up road in a single-family home neighborhood right in the middle of the north side on a peninsula between the river and the lake is just a very bad and irresponsible idea. The best answer would be conditional rezoning. It would allow the owner to proceed down the path that she wants, and it would protect the residents on the north side as well, a real win-win. So I request that the city deny rezoning RM1 and strongly suggest to the owners that they recommend that they please move forward with a conditional rezoning. That would be the most responsible thing to do. It's not only setting a precedence if you rezone like this in the middle of a neighborhood, it'll be the wild, wild west here. And I just don't think that that's the direction people want to go.
You have 1 minute.
I can't help but think that the owner wants to eliminate the non-compliant label. We need to address this label because it's overreach on the part of the city. This resort and every single STR in the city has that label. The attorney stated at the Planning Commission meeting that the goal is for compliance. This would mean that the goal of the city is to eliminate every STR. I hope that that's not the goal of the city. That's not the direction that we need to go. So you are the voted responsible people. You, Annie, have a lot of power as mayor, and we need to thoughtfully go over this and go back and look at these labels. How did this happen? And let's go a different direction.
Thank you.
Councilor Brindley, 345 Bailey. Two things. Firstly, I'm just overwhelmed by these two things tonight. I think a lot of us here in South Haven have been waiting for urgent care for a long time now, so I applaud Corewell Health in that direction that we're taking, and I hope for the best for them. Secondly, lifeguards. Thank you to everyone who has advocated so long and with so much strength for a lifeguard program to return here to South Haven, and I look forward to seeing what direction this leads us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi there. Jeremy Burleson, 16470 77th Street. This is the first time I've been up here as a community member, so I'm a little bit different than having a
Welcome.
PowerPoint. So yeah, so I appreciate it. So I'm up here tonight because I just want to say, I saw on the documentation that Robert Booker is going to be up for the South Haven Library Board. And so many times I've been in education and politics for the last 23 years in South Haven, and so many times we've talked about the fact that we want to have people within the community come up and become leaders. And I've known Robert for 3 years, and I've known him as someone that comes into the college, works on his education. I've known him as, in personality-wise, in his personal life, he's trying to advance and grow that. And I think when we look as a community, that's what we want to have. That's what we've talked about in all of the meetings that I've been in, is let's bring the people within our community up as leaders. And I think Robert definitely represents that. So I'm just here to represent Robert and to give him my wholehearted response and wholehearted support for the South Haven Board of the Library. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good evening. Sean Russell, 05362 Seawall Court here in South Haven. I wasn't going to say anything because I just really pretty much said it all over the years, but just very impressed and wanted to say thank you for getting the lifeguard program up on its feet and going in the right direction. Anybody that knows me knows I have a pretty big passion for that. Seeing Lisa obviously reignites that. For those of you who don't know, I was on the Beachfront Safety Committee meeting, asked to do that a couple of years before Lisa lost her daughter. I was pretty passionate about bringing that back. My background, I was a lifeguard in the 80s in high school, actually. Probably one of the only lifeguards here that was actually here on the beaches. So worked again as a lifeguard in the 90s and led the program shortly before it closed down, right before I went in the Air Force. So just really impressed with you guys getting this done. I know it's a long road. I know it's expensive, but I also know with this being a beachfront community and that being such an important part of this community and everything that it brings, this is, I think, the right move, and I'm just really impressed that you're getting it done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Midget here, let's bring it down. Melissa Skinner, 850 Kalamazoo Street. Also want to be very thankful for the lifeguards. I have grandkids here, so that's going to make a big difference in safety down there and for the STRs. And then I wanted to bring some stuff that I just came from a meeting where we had Pure Michigan there. We had the president of Binder Park Zoo, some other stuff that's coming in for STRs. And I just was really impressed that they want to talk about South Haven, right? They're going to wrap trains and buses and stuff in Chicago that's going to be helping drive traffic our way. So our growth and our hospitality here through our vacation rentals and our tourism and, you know, Blue Star Highway and all the cool art things that we have along the way for people are really growing. And I know a lot of people are bummed about that, but it is an industry. And Michigan is a top tourist industry, and for us to be on top of that tourism is something big as well. So I just kind of wanted to say something positive about STRs for a change. You guys,
That's
thank
great
you.
to hear. Thank
Yeah,
you so
and
much.
The lifeguards and the urgent care are amazing. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bill Bauman, 710 Kalamazoo Street. Yeah, a lot of great news tonight, starting with such talented youth from the South Haven area and the urgent care, which I found out the city manager, so thank you, Kate, for pushing that. But what I'm here to talk about, I understand there's an item in part, is part of the consent agenda tonight. But I'd like to briefly comment on the Shays Agreement. This contract represents a multi-year financial commitment that will total several $100,000 over its term. And these costs are directly funded by fees charged to STR license holders. At this time, I am not aware of any documentation provided showing how the $150 inspection rate reflects the actual cost of providing the service, including labor, administration, and overhead allocation. Without that cost basis, it is not clear how this fee structure aligns with the requirement that fees be based on actual costs and not generate excess revenue. Given the size and duration of this commitment, approving the agreement without that level of transparency creates a risk that the fee structure is not properly supported. I would encourage the council to consider whether this item should be reviewed separately to allow for that cost basis to be clearly presented before approval. Thank you, and I appreciate all the work you do.
Thank you. Are there any more comments? If anyone else wants to come up? If not, we're moving forward. We're going to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through K?
Mayor, I would ask to remove item F in light of the comments from Mr. Baumann.
Okay, we're moving F to number 10A.
And then I would move to approve A through E and G through I of the consent agenda.
Support.
Okay, so we're moving item F.
Just
Got
F.
it.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I did the other letters.
Great, thank you. Okay, was there a second?
Yes.
Got it? Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Of course. Arnold?
Yes.
Capps?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Hasley?
Yes.
Polk?
Yes.
And Brown.
Yes. Thank you. We are now at J. Kate.
You mean
Oh.
10?
Oh, I'm sorry, 10.
Oh,
Got it.
Actually, I think I failed to have J and K included in that. I saw
Okay.
the I. So I will move to approve J and K.
Support.
Is there a second? for that?
He just
Got it,
Slack
okay.
over
Roll, do we need roll call again?
Yes,
Okay,
sorry about that.
that's okay.
Capps?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Hasley?
Yes.
Polk?
Yes.
Arnold?
Yes.
And Brown.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Now we're at 10A. And would you like to explain why you had it removed?
Just reiterate what Mr. Baumann said. Is there documentation to support the $150 fee?
Kate?
We've been having Shays do our inspection since 2019. This was a third-party independent that would look at the fire code. So for over, well, it's 26, so 7, 8 years, they have not increased their fees at all. They have used these to employ inspectors to make sure that we have sufficient people to go on these inspections. I would also say they don't handle the administration of our staff that are plugging in all these inspection dates, so that's being borne by our department. I would say that I have not gone over the book specifically with Brandon, but as a board member, I think that it's running in line, but as we all know, there are wage increases that are absorbed by that organization that are meant to be accomplished by this nominal amount of increase. We're going from 125 to 150.
Mr. Eberly?
Thank you, Mayor. I think I can simplify this a little bit for council. What the gentleman was referring to is commonly known as the bolt factors. We've talked about those before. That is distinguishing between a fee and a tax. Generally speaking, to be a fee, it must serve a regulatory rather than revenue-raising purpose. It must be proportionate to the necessary cost of the service, and it must be voluntary. These, again, are not considered in isolation. Not one factor is dispositive, and mathematical precision is not required. In this case, the cost to the city is the $150, because that is what is being paid to Shays. That is what has been negotiated in the contract. So it is not relevant to the city how Shays computes their cost. The question we have to ask is, what is the cost to the city? And here is $150.
And I would say that what I do know about Shays is that they would not have hired these inspectors but for our agreement to pay them for these inspections.
So similar to any other, if we're doing any other contract for service, so take Shays out of it and put a private company in that place. We don't ask the private company to justify the cost structure. All we're concerned about is what is the cost to the city. Again, here it's just $150, and that's why in the short-term rental fees, the fee is $150. It's a one-for-one for what the city is paying to do the inspections.
Are there any questions? Mr. Flack?
No.
Do we have any ballpark of what other jurisdictions pay for short-term rental inspections?
I don't. I do know that we have structured our inspections similar to how we've been running in the past, but we do have the zoning compliance determination. I think that it'd be hard for me to just spitball as to what other jurisdictions are doing and how much it costs, because I'm not sure what all they are doing
Yeah, Mr. Bauman's comments reminded me of comments from at Planning Commission and also just people in the public about a potential sliding scale. An efficiency apartment is easier, should reasonably take less time than a 7-bedroom, 6-bathroom home.
That's one way to look at it, but I would also say that it takes a fixed amount of money to hire someone as well as pay their wages as a public employee. And those are fixed costs that are borne by the organization, whether or not they do, 50 efficiencies.
And again, it's what is the cost to the city? The cost to the city is the price that's been negotiated with Shays, $150.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mayor, sorry, Tom, just a quick observation. We do own a STR, and every year it's 2 individuals who are there for an amount of time. At least with travel time, it's got to be over an hour for 2 people. So when I just look at that, that's got to be a big chunk of the 150 right there. I mean, it's quite a bit of time they spend. So I recognize Mr. Everly's comments, and I think I think it's in a place where it's something that we could approve.
Thank you. Mr. Katz?
Yeah, I would just say, I've got a pretty good idea what Allegan County pays, which is pretty close. I think their fee was $135, if I recall correctly. I had somebody I looked it up for because they're thinking of an STR program in Vicksburg. So that's why I had a privy to give them that as an example. So I don't think we're too much out of the cost basis of what they're charging.
Is there a motion to approve the short-term rental inspection program agreement with South Haven Area Emergency Services and authorize staff to execute all necessary documents?
I move to approve consent agenda item F as read by the mayor.
Support.
Any more discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Flack,
Yes.
Hosley,
Yes.
Polk,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Caps,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to new business, number 11. The City Council will be asked to consider approval of the following special event applications. A special event application 2026-12, Worship and Baptism Night, to be held on Sunday, August 23rd, 2026, from 4 to 8 p.m. on South Beach. B, special event application 2026-13, Light Up the Lake 2026 fireworks, to be held on Friday, July 3rd, 2026, starting approximately at 10:30 p.m. from the North Pier.
I move to approve special event application 2026-12 as read by the mayor and special event application 2026-13 as read by the mayor.
Second.
Any more discussion? Oh, go ahead.
I just, I want to thank Kate for a discussion earlier. So there is a map on page 94 of the agenda packet that shows parking restrictions during that day. And just for everyone's benefit, it is a fluid document, and the final one will be issued closer in time with a press release. Is that correct, Kate?
As we get closer to the event, we issue a number of press releases, some about the Dykeman Bridge operation, street closures, and things like that. So as we get closer to the event, we like to just put out the idea about where people should park and where there are avenues of exits. And if there are road closures or at least partial lane closures, we'd like to let people know. So that will be forthcoming later in June.
And I just know, I've heard from many people in Ward 3 along the Wells and Park area, and with that curve on Wells, frequently I hear concerns about when there's parking on both sides. So I would just ask that that be taken into consideration with updates for this map, and hopefully Chief DeBoer and Chief Hintz could even consider what should or should not be allowed in light of the curve there and the.
I'll review that matter with them and we'll make a decision.
Thank you.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? The events are approved. Thank you. Number 12, the City Council will be asked to consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend Section 2304 of the City of South Haven zoning ordinance. Kate?
Thank you, Mayor. This happened to be this will be one of our 3 introductions tonight, possibly. That's what's being proposed for the City Council's business. This is going to be an amendment of an introduction of an ordinance to amend Section 2304 of the City of South Haven zoning code. Attorney Eberly and I have both went to the April Planning Commission meeting, but I think Attorney Eberly and Kelly can explain this a little bit better than I can, so I'll leave this to them.
Nobody wants to explain this one.
We believe in you.
Yeah, okay. Buckle up, everybody. So we're talking nonconformities, which is everybody's favorite topic. And here we have an amendment that I think would really actually clarify what staff believes to have been the intent of this section of the ordinance regarding nonconforming lots. I believe it's rather intuitive to everyone that on a nonconforming lot, you should be able to use a use that is otherwise, you should be able to put a use on the lot that is otherwise permitted in that zoning district. And I think it's rather intuitive to think that on a nonconforming lot, if you have a new structure, it should meet applicable setback requirements, and if it doesn't, you should go get a variance. And if you have a lawfully nonconforming structure on a lawfully nonconforming lot, you have a lawfully nonconforming structure on a lawfully nonconforming lot, and it should not be an issue. In a review of this text, the issue was that the way it read, one could easily take the position that in order to put a new use on a nonconforming lot, regardless of whether or not the structure was lawfully nonconforming, it would still need to meet all applicable setbacks, lot coverage, and other similar requirements. And there were questions, and we don't need to get into them tonight, about like, okay, well, what would you do in that situation then? So in light of what we believe to be the intent of the section, we thought that clarifying the language would be beneficial just to avoid any confusion. Additionally, the way the language originally read, and Kate's put the projection up on the screen, is you could be in a situation where you have a non-conforming structure that is actually being treated differently based off whether or not the lot is conforming, and you can have a non-conforming structure that is even closer to being in conformance that would be precluded from having the use in that structure change. So by way of example, on the graphic, and this is not to scale. So for the sake of the argument, let's assume that a lot in this district was required to have be dimensionally 50 feet by 125 feet, and that a 5-foot setback was required. So on the top, you have a conforming lot, 125 feet by 50 feet, and the structure is non-conforming because it's got a 0.5-foot setback. So under the current language, there's no issue with putting a new use in that structure, adding a home occupation or something like that. Now let's move down to the bottom graphic where you can't really see it, but it's supposed to be a non-conforming lot. So pretend it's 45, so it's 125 by 45. It's a non-conforming lot, and the structure is still dimensionally non-conforming because it has a 4.5 setback as opposed to the 5-foot setback. In that situation, although it's way closer to what we'd actually to the required 5-foot setback, because the lot is non-conforming, you wouldn't be able to change the use in that structure, which again is rather counterintuitive. So what this ordinance is really seeking to do is to get at what we believe as staff was the intent of the language originally, and to not put ourselves in situations like this where you have a structure that is more conforming than another structure, but because of the non-conforming lot, of which we have a lot throughout the city, it would not be able to have its use changed. So with that, Kelly's happy to answer any of your questions.
Any questions? Mr. Flack?
So 2 negatives don't make a positive. That's the best way to say it, I think. I get it, David. I understand. And what I understood from the write-up was this is an unintended situation that we're correcting right now, correct? So,
Yes.
yep, thank you.
Any other questions?
I would move to introduce ordinance to amend section 2304 of the City of South Haven zoning ordinance.
Second?
Any discussion? Mr. Arnold?
Nope.
Member Hosley?
Nope.
So at the Planning Commission, yes, the majority of planning commissioners did recommend approval of this. Commissioner Campbell had made comments to the effect that it would be better to have a question whether that clause shouldn't be stricken. And I think there was general consensus of the three who did not support it, I was one of which, is looking at this, the bigger issue is, should we be allowing potentially more commercial type uses in either situation, whether the lot was conforming or non-conforming, when the setback is much smaller and not requiring a variance? This would allow a potentially commercial use in a residential district being 1/2 foot from the property line or 4.5 feet from the property line. The issue for looking at the impact on the surrounding neighbors really is what types of uses should be allowed in not necessarily a non-conforming structure, but a non-conforming lot, but in a non-conforming structure. Therefore, although that clause is there, in my opinion, the better way to address it factually is to look at the whole picture and ensure that the additional uses, especially in residential areas that potentially are commercial, are not interfering with the neighbors because of the non-conforming structure. So yes, I appreciate that there is an issue, but I believe that this is more of a Band-Aid than resolving the issue as a whole for the health, safety, and welfare of that micro-community where the additional uses are being looked at on a lot, regardless of whether it's conforming or not, but looking really at the germane issue of the non-conforming structure. And for that reason, I, again, am not supportive of this zoning change because it's not really addressing a germane issue with how close some of the structures are. And it could better be resolved through a variance so that the neighbors understand what is and is not going to be happening in the building next to them.
Any other discussion? Can we have a roll call, please? Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
Roll call, please.
Hosley?
No.
Polk?
Yes.
Arnold?
Yes.
Capps?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to 13, the City Council will be asked to consider an introduction of an ordinance to amend the City of South Haven zoning map by rezoning 241 Oak Street from R1B Single Family Residential to RM1 Multiple Family Residential. Kate.
Thank you, Mayor. This is, again, an introduction. As we know, rezonings are now a change to the ordinance, which requires 2 readings. So this is a request from the Victoria Resort to change their zoning from R1B to RM1. This was vetted by the Planning Commission. Their resolution is in the packet. Attorney Eberly and Kelly Getmans-Dissett may have more to share on this. I'll defer to them.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the applicants are here this evening. You heard from Allison Coatsier tonight, and the application is to rezone from R1B, which is a single-family zoning district, to RM1, which is a multiple-family zoning district. The R1B allows primarily single-family dwelling units. It does also allow daycare uses, home occupations, that sort of thing. The multifamily district allows more uses, a little bit more density. It allows multiple family housing, single-family housing, two-family housing, but it does also allow resorts as a use by special land use, and that is, as the applicants indicated, the primary reason for the request, in the hope that they would eventually be able to make some additions to the property. So the Planning Commission did ultimately vote to recommend rezoning. This rezoning request is consistent with the master plan, and that was a deciding factor in the recommendation to move this forward.
Thank you. Mr. Eberly.
Thank you, Mayor. You'll note in the Planning Commission resolution making the recommendation, it analyzes 5 factors that are set forth in Section 25033 of the zoning ordinance. Those are factors the Planning Commission is required to analyze when it's making its recommendation. The City Council is obviously more than welcome to look at those factors as part of its discussions, but you're not simply bound to those factors at all. Another point of clarification that I think is important, when the applicant spoke on this matter at public comment, she indicated that they would be pursuing a special land use, and at that point the use would be restricted. And I think there's a distinction that needs to be made there. Should this property be rezoned, it would open up the property for the potential for any use that's permitted by right or by special land use. In this case, if the resort ended up getting special land use approval, that's not saying that for any other development in any other use on the property is precluded. All that's saying is that to the extent you're going to be a resort, you need to comply with the special land use approval. The other uses, because again, the property has been rezoned, would still be available. You would have to go through the necessary zoning permits or site plan review. In this instance, I believe the only types of use in RM1 that would be exempt from site plan review would be single family and two family.
Are there any questions?
Madam Mayor, I would like to take the opportunity to comment on a couple things that happened at the Planning Commission that were not specifically stated here as part of our procedure. The liaison has that opportunity. I just have a couple points. They'll be quick.
Mary, sorry, as a point of order, should we introduce a motion?
Well, this was part of the staff,
Okay,
so
fair
that's
enough.
during the
Fair enough.
procedure.
Would you like to introduce a motion?
Well, we've already gone here, so please.
So as part of the procedure, I think that's one, and in addition to what Attorney Eberly said, it was confirmed that, once it is rezoned, anything allowed under that rezoning would apply, and that the special land use would be required. And I do want to thank Attorney Inks and Brad Korpa for discussing those during the Planning Commission.
Mr. Polk.
Attorney Everly, would you restate the Planning Commission's actions? What led to their decision to make the recommendation to the council? Or was it Kelly that stated it?
In terms of, they adopted a resolution making a recommendation, but I guess, Kelly, you would like more of what happened at the meetings leading up to the situation, or up to the recommendation?
Didn't they verify compliance?
Yes. Would it be helpful if I read
Yes.
Okay.
And this was from the March 23rd meeting.
Yeah, so this is the resolution that the Planning Commission adopted, and I'll read it. The Planning Commission does hereby, this is just the resolved part, I'm not reading the whereases. The Planning Commission does hereby recommend that the City Council adopt the ordinance to amend the zoning map for the City of South Haven by rezoning the property from RM1 multifamily, by rezoning the property to RM1 multifamily residential attached to this resolution as Exhibit A. As the basis for this recommendation, the Planning Commission makes the following findings with respect to the factors listed in Section 25033 of the zoning ordinance. So these are the factors that I mentioned at the top that the Planning Commission was required to consider as part of the recommendation. Council may consider them, but you're acting now in a legislative capacity, so you have a much broader berth. The proposed zoning amendment is consistent with the city's adopted master plan because the future land use and zoning plan specifically reference this property stating, quote, "An established resort located on Oak Street is recommended for MFARR land use since it is likely a legally existing non-conforming use that could be brought into conformance as a use permitted in the RM1 zoning district if desired by the city," end quote. The proposed zoning amendment is consistent with the recent development trends in the area because it is located in an area with the second highest concentration of short-term rental properties in the city. The zoning amendment is compatible with existing land uses in the vicinity of the subject site or throughout the zoning districts affected by the proposed amendment because surrounding properties are both residential and short-term rental uses. Existing or planned public infrastructure, including streets, sanitary sewers, stormwater, water mains or wells, sidewalks and street lighting are capable of accommodating potential changes in land use resulting from the proposed amendment. The proposed amendment is consistent with the intent and purpose of this ordinance, meaning the zoning ordinance, and the proposed amendment would protect the health, safety, and welfare of the city because the proposed zoning district allows for resorts as well as residential land uses.
Thank you. So in short, the Planning Commission voted to approve this zoning amendment that we're going to vote on.
Yes, that was the recommendation.
Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Capps?
Just a question. What's the big difference here as far as anything being really binding? We're looking at a special land use as a resort is what the applicants have said they want to do. They have to do that. That would be their next step if this got approved, right? What's the difference between that and them going back and getting a conditional rezoning?
So in the RM1 district, the following uses are permitted by right: adult foster care family homes and small group homes, 6 people or fewer, child care homes, family, dwellings, multiple family, dwelling single family attached, dwelling single family detached, dwelling 2-family, home occupation, public facilities. The following uses are permitted by special land use in the RM1: adult foster care small group homes, 7 to 12 persons, and large homes, 13 to 20 persons, homes for the aged, child care homes group, educational facilities, places of public assembly, assisted living facilities, senior housing, bed and breakfast establishments, convalescent homes, hospitals, and resorts. Presumably, if the applicant offered a conditional rezoning, and remember it has to be something offered by the applicant, a part of that offer would be that the rezoning, the use would be restricted to resorts such that, yes, while you would still be rezoning the property, the use of the property would be limited to resorts and all the other uses I talked about would not be permitted despite the rezoning. And that you could also talk about other conditions should the applicant offer them as well.
But does what they talked about doing, special land use, and saying it's a resort, does that really achieve anything?
So currently, the resort is lawful nonconforming.
Right.
And as we've talked in other meetings, in other contexts, you can't increase or intensify a nonconforming use. My understanding is that the applicant's concern with that is that they want to add some additional spaces, maybe change some things around, or do something that would intensify or impermissibly modify the use. So by seeking special land use or the rezoning and then seeking special land use and approving both were granted, they would now be a permitted use, so those restrictions that are imposed on non-conforming uses wouldn't comply. Now, of course, they'd still have to comply with the special land use approval, but that's very different than trying not to intensify your use or being a non-conforming use where you have a very limited number of things you can do to your property if you want to keep the use.
Okay. And right now, if nothing changed, they can't they can't put up a new building. Is that correct?
Correct. They would be able to make repairs and maintain the buildings that are there in good condition and continue to operate the resort, which has been there for over 100 years. But
I did
they
walk the
can't do
pro-
anything to
Right.
expand.
I did walk the property, and it's better to have a new building, that's for sure.
And I think that's a point worth emphasizing, because in our conversations surrounding lawful nonconformities in other contexts, there has been some confusion with individuals thinking that means they can't repair their home and it, has to fall apart and become blighted. It's like, no, that's not the case. You can make sure the siding's put together, you can paint the home, you can do a couple other things, but there's gray area and every fact is unique, but okay, putting up a new building, okay, clearly that's an intensification of the use.
Okay. Did you have a motion?
Yes, I motion that we introduce an ordinance to amend the City of South Haven zoning map by rezoning 241 Oak Street from R1B Single Family Residential to is that RM1?
Yes.
Multiple family residential.
I had, I guess, a music band on my mind, so sorry about that.
Second.
I support.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Mr. Flack?
Yeah, I understand, and thank you, David, for reiterating all of that, and I understand all of it. And I think that it's been a resort for 100 years in a non-conforming status, and that now changes want to be made to it. Is there a guarantee the owners will still be here? We don't know. So there is a risk, as people in the public have mentioned, and that risk ceiling is, it could be a condo someday, and that is possible by right. There still has to be an SLU granted. And so for me, it comes down to, I think, if that is the ceiling for worst case, it's an acceptable ceiling, because whatever goes on that property, I think, is going to be something that the city would be proud of in that space, just because of the cost of that property and what it would take to put something there. So,
Thank you. Any other discussion? Member Hosley?
Thank you. Just caution with regard to what Councilman Capps had said, is that, yes, if they go for an SLU, and I thank Attorney Eberly for commenting that, yes, they can go for an SLU for a resort, but that doesn't prohibit them from doing anything else allowed under RM1. And that is the concern, is that once it's rezoned, it could be anything. And this was scheduled for a hearing a year ago, and there was an error in the notice, and so it was adjourned, and it didn't come back right away. And one reason was they were considering conditional, but it didn't come back conditional. And I think that gave residents a concern. And looking at comments, we have received some of them by email, but I would encourage my fellow city council members to look at the comments, not from just 323 when the public hearing was, but also 3526 when people wrote in, because it was originally scheduled for 35, but there was a paper problem with the publication. And previously, there were numerous comments from the April 10th, 2025 public notice. And I think all of those need to be taken into consideration for this final vote at the next hearing, to ensure that our residents' voices are heard. At this time, I don't see any changes of facts, anything that guarantees what is being represented. And so I am remaining open-minded as facts change before the final vote. But I am concerned that the 2018 master plan, that change was made, I believe, to allow it to be rezoned for resort purposes. And if it's read too broadly to be an RM1, which can allow much more, the intensity of the use can be much more significant on the immediate neighbors. And those are the people whose voices have the most impact in this situation. Especially with the type of roads that access that, and it really is only accessible from Oak, which loops around to Brockway. I understand there is nothing for the City Council to require us to review each finding, but I do make people aware that not all of the votes for each of the condition was unanimous. And as elected officials, I would encourage each of us to look at them and establish for ourselves that the criteria for each condition is met, and addressing the concerns of the residents that we've heard. I know the residents were wondering how, to ensure that their messages have been heard. I thank Kate for acknowledging many of them. I know some were later today, so you would not have had the time to acknowledge them. I had discussed with her earlier, because we do announce at Planning Commission who have written in, and because that is a public hearing, that is part of the process. Because the public hearing is at the Planning Commission, we do not go to that length of detail, but we do get your emails and we do read them. And if you have concern, please reach out to us. But for those reasons, I am unable to support this at this time, but I will wait to hear for other facts that come forward.
Could we have a roll call, please?
Polk,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Capps,
Yes.
Flack,
Yes.
Hasley,
No.
and Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, number 13.
14.
14. Thank you. The city council will be asked to consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend section 2201.09 of the City of South Haven ordinance. Kate?
Thank you, Mayor. This was a request that started in the DDA, the Downtown Development Authority. There were a number of businesses that were concerned with not enough signage. If you have, thank you, I had to work that one around. Right now, if you have an awning, you're not able to have a projecting sign, and that causes a lot of concern, because if your awning is too high, your signage for your business has to be above the awning. There have been a number of businesses that are just frustrated with the lack of ability to put signage or adequate signage out there. So this has been something that was started, I want to say, in July of last year, and then I think it came back, I want to say, in November, after the Planning Commission asked for some more details. The Planning Commission has had an opportunity to review the request, and has proposed some language to have that rectified. So Kelly, if you want to talk about what the changes are to the projecting and hanging sign, and this is for what districts?
Sure. Thank you, Kate. This, as Kate mentioned, is really an initiative from a couple of the downtown business owners, and so the focus was on projecting and hanging signs in the central business district, so that hanging and projecting signs would be allowed on buildings that also have awnings. And the DDA, when we took this to the DDA, the recommendation from that group was also that rather than allowing one projecting sign per lot, we allow one per tenant, because sometimes we've got buildings with more than one tenant. So the changes there allow one per tenant in multi-tenant buildings, and the case is still that if there is an awning sign, which is different from just a blank awning, you can't have an awning sign in combination with a projecting sign, because that starts to look a little bit too cluttered. But if you've got just a blank awning, you now can hang a sign from the awning or have the projecting sign in addition to that awning. And we did clean up a little bit of the language for the B2, B3, B4 districts, just so that it would be similarly worded to the central business district with regard to how far the sign can project from the wall. So those are the primary changes that were made. Again, Planning Commission held a public hearing. They did recommend to City Council adoption of these changes. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions?
I would
Member Hasley.
just like to compliment Kelly. It came to the Planning Commission. We asked her to take it to DDA. She did take it to DDA. They did make a couple tweaks.
They did.
And so that was, we wanted to be efficient. And that took more of her time, but we thank her for that. And you will notice it's a unanimous recommendation from Planning Commission for approval.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Is there a motion?
I move to introduce an ordinance to amend section 2201.09, the City of South Haven zoning ordinance.
Support.
Any more discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Number 15, the city council will be asked to consider the following actions regarding parking restrictions in the city of South Haven. A, approve resolution 2026-13, a resolution to establish parking fees. And B, approve resolution 2026-14, a resolution to adopt parking restrictions throughout the city of South Haven. And C, introduce an ordinance to amend section 8287 of the Code of Ordinances. Kate.
Thank you, Mayor. As we remember, this is way back in March, if you remember, we had our committee of the whole, and we talked about parking and funding of the lifeguard program. And I did share with you at that meeting the parking proposal that Officer Phil Poole, our Director of IT, had put together on parking. And we discussed at the committee of the whole some options. One of the options was doing 9 to 8 at $2 an hour. But we also talked about keeping the hours as they are, 9 to 6, but going to $3 an hour. Now, this would be a change from our daily rate fee of $10 a day per car. And as we heard from our parking expert, who happens to run the software for many different communities, we were looking for turnover. And so it seemed that the consensus coming from the committee of the whole was to go to a $3 an hour, keeping the hours the same. And that would fetch at least, we're estimating, of course, what we understand is around $800,000 extra funding to cover our expenses for a lifeguard program, as well as putting away money for our capital improvements, and of course, maintaining our needs for operations and maintenance on the beaches. So that is our first resolution, 2026-13. So that clarifies going from a $10 a day daily rate to a $3 per hour per car. As well as, in addition to that parking fee, we also were talking about changes to the weekly rate. The weekly rate is a 7-day pass where you can park in places where if there are no meters, you can have a sticker or permit. But that is a weekly rate that previously was $30, quite a steal. So we are recommending that that be changed to a $50 week. There are no changes to the 3-year multi-pass. As we know, we are in the 3rd year. If anyone does wish to buy a pass this year, it's $80. So since this is the 3rd year, because we are in that 3rd year, there are no changes being proposed for that right now. The second resolution is a resolution to adopt parking restrictions. We had adopted a parking restrictions resolution cleaning up some items on, I want to say, Eagle and Huron last year. We have updated this resolution to include the beach areas just to make sure that all the parking restrictions, such as metered, paid parking, no parking, loading zones, 3-hour restrictions, are all in one resolution. I think I sent out earlier today a red line copy of what you're going to be seeing in this resolution. The red line did not make it into the packet, but this really just clearly shows that what has been added are those beach areas to the parking restrictions. And then lastly, we have an introduction for an ordinance. Our parking violations are located in the Code of Ordinances. They are not set by resolution. So we are introducing an ordinance to amend those parking violations fees to more reflect the idea of getting compliance. As we know, if your fees are set at $20, many people may say it's cheaper for me just to park on the lawn or not in this space. So that's what we've been amending here. And as you can see, we were proposing that the parking fees be changed from $20 to $45. If not paid after $70, it would be if not paid after 7 days, it's a $75 fine. And if not paid after 60 days, it's a $100 fine. So it really, we really want to motivate people, 1, to park in the right areas, and then 2, to make sure that you're paying your fines on time.
Does anyone, oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Are you done?
No.
Go ahead if you have more.
I don't.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Kate? Is there a motion to approve items A, B, and C?
Mayor.
Member Hosley.
Thank you. I move to approve Resolution 2026-13 as read by the mayor, Resolution 2026-14 as read by the mayor, and introduce an ordinance to amend Section 82-87 of the Code of Ordinances.
I support it.
Any more discussion? Member Hosley.
Just thank you, Kate, for this work and sending out the red line. I think that was very helpful, and it's nice to see things consistent with what we're looking to do.
Thank you.
Could we, oh, go ahead.
Just real quick, I just want to, probably the general public to know that this really isn't a parking increase. We hope to generate more funds, and it's by turnover. However, if I'm, want to go have lunch at the beach, it's going to cost me $3, not 10. And if I want to spend 3 hours there, it's going to cost me 9, not 10. Now, if I want to stay for 8 hours, I'm going to pay more money, and you should. So I don't consider it an increase that the city's trying to get rich off. We're trying to pay for the lifeguard program, and I think it's reasonable.
Mr. Flack?
Agree with council member on that. And this is a very important step we're taking to make sure that we're funded for the lifeguard program. So thank you, Kate.
Thank you. Any other comments? Do we have a roll call, please?
Mayor, if I could just add one thing. I know people above South Beach were concerned about parking being pushed into their neighborhoods, and that will be, that is on our minds, and we will be monitoring it and taking steps as necessary, so.
On the west end of Michigan Avenue, you are more than welcome to park on the street. So feel free. No complaints here for west end of Michigan Avenue. Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. For items A, B, and C, Arnold?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Hosley?
Yes.
Polk?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 16, city manager's comments. The moment we've all been waiting for.
I get there's a fair degree of anticipation in the room. So I'm going to have Chief DeBoer come on up, and then, of course, our new Chief Lifeguard, David Figueredo. I'm glad to see that David is joining the team. I would like to have David introduce himself to you. This was a process that has been in the works since council made the nod last November to start a lifeguard program. There has been a multifaceted group with HR, DPW, Beach Safety, Shays, the South Haven Police Department, and of course myself, involved in pulling together all the different parts of a very complex program. And this has been a big lift. We're happy to have David on the team. And of course, he'll be under Chief DeBoer and with his helpful guidance. So come on up.
We'll let Dave say his thing, and I'll give a little update.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Council members, residents, attendees, many of you have only gotten to know me through press releases, so I appreciate the chance to introduce myself in person as the new Chief Lifeguard and Beach Safety Manager. I've been in the role for just over 2 weeks, and my excitement for the work ahead has only grown since starting. I previously spent 7 years with the Evanston Lifeguard Service on Lake Michigan. I served as a lifeguard, beach manager, and eventually a lakefront supervisor, overseeing day-to-day operations across all 5 public swimming beaches. That experience shaped my understanding of what a high-performing beach safety program can be, and I'm excited to bring that foundation to South Haven. I want to thank everyone, colleagues, residents, and supporters alike, for such a warm welcome. Even in a short time, it's clear that this is a community of genuine, caring people who look out for one another, and I felt that same support as a newcomer. I also deeply respect the passion this community has for water safety. That commitment was a major factor in what drew me to this role, and I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. I look forward to building this program to the highest possible standards and contributing to a safe and successful season. Before I close, I want to extend a special thank you to my colleagues at the City of South Haven for helping make my onboarding so smooth. You've been great partners, and I look forward to our continued collaboration. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or Chief DeBoer can give his update, can pass it off between us two. You guys are fine.
Questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm happy we have another Dave.
Yeah.
I was saying, Daves are always good
Daves
people.
are stacking up.
And my question really is, how fast can you swim in the 500?
10 minutes.
Well, I was a sprinter.
Ah, okay.
Chief DeBoer's a distance swimmer, so we've got some bad blood between us there. But man, my last time I swam a timed 500, like in an event, this is around like a 5-minute. Just, yeah.
5 minutes.
Teach at the high school.
Sounds fast.
If I meet when I meet a swimmer at the high school, I always ask them if they swim the 500, and they all groan. So
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I was a 50 free guy, so yeah.
Any other questions?
Just
Go
a
ahead.
comment. We're very glad that you're here, and thank you for speaking tonight. And 5 minutes is amazing. So
Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Member Hosley?
Welcome. we are thrilled for you to be here and to start this program. And please listen to the audience members who spoke, who are willing to help in any way possible. I know that there is a concern about the testing in our cold Lake Michigan weather, but I know you're from Evanston, Illinois area, so you know what the weather temp is like and will guide us well. Thank you.
We'll work out a good solution.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
So like he said, he's a sprinter. I was a distance swimmer. And I can confirm sprinters do have work ethic. That's one thing I've definitely noticed since David's been here. In the 2.5 weeks, we've gotten a lot done. He got thrown into some meetings his second day, which is our every other Wednesday lifeguard planning meeting. Kim Wines has done an amazing job organizing those and keeping us on track. Since David's been here, I would say we are a little bit better on track. I've really handed off a lot to him, which is great because it frees me up to do the police department stuff I need to do as well. So since he's been here, we've got rescue boards ordered. I think we have orders going out for whistles, first aid kits. He's got some med bags from Shays that have been donated by them. He's working with them to get medical supplies ordered. Believe it or not, some of those you need a doctor's note to get saline. So as a police department, I can't order saline. We have to get that through Shays. So he's been here 2 weeks. He's making great contacts in the city, out of the city. I know, again, he's been with USLA meetings for the Great Lakes chapter. We're really moving forward. We have a tentative training timeline. Looks like our last day of training is going to be the Friday before Memorial Day. That opens up the possibility of possibly having guards on the beach Saturday before Memorial Day. But we should have guards on the beach on Memorial Day to start the beach season.
Terrific.
Whether or not our towers are here, we will have guards on the beach Memorial Day. We might be busting out the Coleman folding chairs, but we will have guards on the beach for Memorial Day, assuming they can pass training. So he's been a major asset for me and for the team as far as the lifeguard strategic planning goes. So we're very excited to have him. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I guess, Mayor, I would also like to really highlight that, as Adam said, Kim Wise has really been a great project manager on this, as we've gotten that. One, we've had the USLA report, but we really refined that with the DHS report. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes. I know a lot of people may not see that, but there's been a lot of work that's being gone on. So I'm really happy to have David here. I'm happy for just the work of the team. And like I've said before, I can't do this job without a stellar team. That includes Attorney Everly, Kelly Doucette, HR, Chief DeBoer. There's a lot of people that make this city run, and I'd like to have those acknowledgments, just as we've done in our 3 budget meetings for this month, which has been kind of a slog for some of us, right? Michelle Argue, Dana Bird, all of our superintendents, we put a lot of time and work into these things that take time to implement, especially correctly. And I would also say that, you know, our budgeting process really kicks off almost in December when we start looking at new hires and where we'd like to see departments go. And then, of course, refining those budgets which start out in January. So I would just really highlight, there's a lot of work that goes on, and you may not always see how the sausage gets made, but you do see the sausage. So with that, I would also like to say that this is tonight's Megan's last city council meeting, so we are going to miss her. I know. No, good thing we've got tissues, but
Let's take a vote on that.
there we go. We are, I know, actively looking for a city clerk. We've done some internal interviews. I hope to have some good news in the next couple of weeks. But again, we're going to miss Megan. Again, a very pivotal part of the internal city staff crew, and we're going to miss her terribly. So thank you, Megan. All right, those are my comments.
Can we just table her leaving? Can we just table that?
Are there any more questions for Kate? Okay, moving on to mayor and councilperson's comments. Tom.
Well, one, again, thank everybody that has been here today involved. We had a lot of tough and happy issues at the same time, so I'm glad that a lot got done tonight. Also want to just give a brief shout out to the people that push for lifeguards. I know they're very adamant about it. And I also want to say that I got to be selfish and give a little kudos to my son Thomas and a good friend of his, Sam Kelser. They spoke before the previous council many times, and him and I had some arguments and some conversations about lifeguards, but I was glad that he was able to help that process early when it got going.
Thank you. Mr. Flack.
I want to thank our high school principal, Amy Cockburn. She had our speaker series out today for an assembly with 240 of her social studies students so that we could invite them to our upcoming speaker series event on April the 30th, and it was wonderful. It was electric. And I'd like to invite all of you as well. It's April 30th. We have Bridget Brink, who is a former ambassador for Ukraine who lived through the war and has a lot to tell us. So she's from actually Grand Rapids, Michigan, and she'll be speaking at Lake Michigan College here on April the 30th at 6 p.m. We'd love to have you all come out. There are refreshments and appetizers and things like that. And also, Megan, thank you for everything. You are irreplaceable. We're going to miss you, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. Member Hosley.
Yes, thank you, everyone who came out, wrote in. Thank you, Megan, for all you do. You will be missed. Thank you to the students who gave us a concert at the beginning. And also, kudos to the robotics team and Kim Wise's involvement. They went off to state and had a good competition. And this Thursday, we have an opportunity to send the high school history club off to state also. They'll be departing the high school at 4:30 and going west on Elkenberg, north on Monroe, through South Beach, east on Water, Phoenix, and ending at the First Congregation Church. So let's send them off. Lots of events this week. Tomorrow at 1, the Scott Club is having our own local Martha Lorstorfer talking about her trips for the journey to the end of the world for the Falkland Islands, South Georgia, and Antarctica. Tuesday evening at the Historical Association, true crime buff, Tobin Buck, and the Clink inside Michigan's historic jails. Wednesday, Earth Day, is our Plastic Planet, sponsored by the Earth Friendly Committee of the South Haven Garden Club. And it will be at LMC, Lake Michigan College here in South Haven. Refreshments at 6:30, and the presentation and discussion is 7 to 9. And then Saturday, April 25th, at the Bailey Museum, Invasive Species with Jenna Johnson from Van Buren Conservation District at 10 a.m.
Mr. Polk.
Mayor, I have a request before I speak. I desperately need to blow my nose. So if you have a Kleenex, you can pass me up and come back if you will. Thank you. I have to see it. Thank you.
That's on film, man.
Excuse me.
Go ahead. Do you want
Well-
us to wait for your comments?
Yeah, while Mr. Polk is
Jeff can go.
taking care of that, my comment, I just want to thank Megan for all of the hard work that she put in. And of course, she runs the elections, and she's going to stick around and help with the election as it comes up here in August and November. But thank you for all the hard work and your years working here. Those are my comments.
Mr. Polk.
Okay. We had some great things on our agenda tonight. Under community updates, the Safe Harbor Children Advocacy Center, Corewell Health Southwest, and the Southwest Drug Enforcement Team. These three initiatives is really going to solidify our community and make it a much better community in the long run. It really is. Greater service, safety, and certainly drug enforcement is a big one as well. The only other thing I had on my mind, Mayor, is a thought. Please bear with me. I'm dealing with this palsy thing. One thing crossed my mind, and I want to thank Attorney Everly for going back and giving some more details on my concern about the response from the Planning Commission. Sometimes I wonder if we're not doing rework, meaning doing something over that the Planning Commission has already done and done their due diligence and given us a recommendation. But yet still we come back and we belabor the same thing they've already done. I really think we need to give that some serious consideration because they're a vital part of this team. I've been on the Planning Commission. I totally respect what they do. the effort they put into it, and I really think that we ought to give some greater consideration to their recommendation. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. What a great meeting. Holy cow. This was awesome, and I want to thank our city staff for all the work that they do behind the scenes because they make these successes possible. So thank you so much. Megan, you're amazing because you've been so knowledgeable about elections and everything. And on top of that, you have the people skills. And that combination is so rare. I mean, you are like an albino squirrel. And you're just a huge loss, and hard to replace. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Working for the city has been one of the greatest honors that I've had in my life. It's been such a great career. I was 17 when I moved to South Haven, and if you would have sat little 17-year-old Megan down and said, you're going to be running city elections, you're going to be working for the city council with the mayor, I would not have believed you for a second. And so it's just been an absolute honor. Thank you for the support from the community, from the city staff. Kate has been an amazing boss. The community is very fortunate to have her and the rest of the city staff. And so for the last 5 years that I've been the clerk, I just want to say thank you to the community for the support and the love. And I'm going to miss all of you very, very much. So.
And as you move to California and job hunt, if you need a letter recommendation, please reach out to me. I'd be honored to do that.
Thank you, guys.
One more thing. I've been taking some parliamentary procedure classes online, and I reached out to the instructor about the idea that a vote that is not unanimous, like a 5-3 vote, is perhaps not as strong. And I said, I think majority rules in a vote that passes regardless of the number of votes. Is that correct? This is her response. Annie, yes, indeed, you are absolutely correct. In the 16th and 17th century, the Kingdom of Poland had a legislature where one noble could veto a decision of the entire parliament. It led to disaster for Poland. Eventually, the kingdom was swallowed up by 3 neighboring countries. A system requiring unanimity is simply not practical. Our system is founded on majority rule. It is bedrock to our decision-making. As another historical example, when the English Parliament voted to execute King Charles I, the decision was made by a majority vote of 1. And that was enough, even though the stakes were so high. So, a majority vote is sufficient, and that principle is deeply grounded in our entire system of governments. If there's no further business, we're adjourned.